Grimcast Manila is a podcast of creepy stories from around the metro. I'm your scaredy cat host, Antoinette, and I love a good ghost story. In this episode, we are talking to Wincy. Wincy is a director, author, host of the podcast Telebabad Tapes, and all-around horror fan. Welcome to the show, Wincy.
Hi, Antoinette. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you could join me. I've wanted to get you on the show for like the longest time. I mean, I remember watching San Lazaro in the basement of Fully Booked. That was a great experience.
Like 10 years ago.
I know, right? At the time, I only knew you because of Liquid Post.
Right, yeah. So, 10 years ago, I was pretty much into horror. And until now.
Well,
10 years ago, I did a Halloween horror movie. Tapos ngayon naman, like a book.
Was it Halloween?
Almost. No. Around August pala. Pero was intended for the release of San Lazaro was around October nga for for school tours.
Right.
Festival tours around October.
Well, it was a fun little movie, and I'm glad I was able to watch it.
Thank you.
I don't even know how I was able to get in. Probably
through Jazz.
Jazz or PV? Oh, because Jazz, I think, helped you score, no?
Yeah, and PV also did the sound design.
Awesome.
When we were all office mates in Liquid Post.
Yeah, I do remember like coming over a couple of times and you just like come out of the room that was kind of on top, get like some food and then crawl back in.
I love that. I miss that office. I really miss that
a
office.
lot of us do. Mylong in general, we miss.
Yes. And it's if your podcast is horror themed, maraming dyan.
Oh my gosh.
Ghost stories. And during my time there with Jazz and PV, we had some projects where we had to stay all night.
Yeah.
And go home at around 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's pretty creepy place, but I loved it.
It's pretty creepy. Every time I would come visit, parang never ako nagpapaiwan. Like, PV would sometimes, so in the booth, right, he'd leave me to like get whatever or talk to someone. Parang I'll try and stick it out. Pero you know how like the booth and the glass and then the vocal booth and then it's pitch black on the other side.
Yes.
I'd never last more than 5 minutes and just be like, never mind, I'm gonna go out.
Yes. Actually, that whole strip of Mylong in Amorsolo Street.
I don't know.
Especially the parking lot in Makati Cinema Square.
Oh my God. Like I just, actually in Makati Cinema Square in the parking lot, I'm not so much scared that someone's gonna murder me there. But like, I'm scared of seeing things that shouldn't be there.
Yes. That's why if Jazz, Mikey, or me, we have to like finish a score or a project there.
Oh.
We just sleep there.
Right.
Instead of like going to the Makati Cinema Square parking lot at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.
Diba? Pass. Tapos you go down into the parking and the lights flickering.
And
pass.
Minsan, diba, the mall is closed.
The malls is... Yeah.
That's what scares me a lot. Yung mga malls na sarado sa gabi.
Yeah.
Diba?
When you're a kid, you think that it must be like a dream to get stuck in a mall or a grocery store at night. But no, when you're an adult,
mannequins, diba?
No.
The mannequins, I cannot, mannequins at night in a mall that's closed. Oh my God.
Hard pass.
Hard pass din ako.
Like,
pass ako dyan.
Sometimes also at night or when they're closing up, they put a sheet over the mannequin. You're just like,
oh my God,
let's just make everything worse, no?
Yeah. Para matutulog na lang kami dun sa sa sahig, 'di ba? Tapos gising na lang na 7, 'di ba? Or 8.
At least may
tapos
araw na.
Oh, at least may araw na. Hindi pa kami inaantok mag-drive, 'di ba?
But getting right into the topic at hand. So what started your interest in stuff like this? You said you've been like you've made a horror movie, you've written a horror book. You're an all-around horror fan. So what got you into all this horror stuff?
Interesting. Actually, I think I made 2 horror movies. After San Lazaro, I made GMA Films Overtime. It's sort of a bit of a horror then, pero more realistic na. More like abduction and
like
crime,
true
horror, true crime, yeah. And suspense. It's a suspense thriller, horror adjacent. So yeah, parang yun na nga. And I was supposed to shoot a movie this year, pero it was it's a love story. So parang whoa, parang a genre jump. Pero to answer your question nga, it's actually because of the year I was born. I was born in 1982.
What happened in 1982?
That whole year, I experienced the 80s, 1982 to 1989, let's say.
Yeah.
Through the lens of all these supernatural happenings in the Philippines.
Okay.
For me, my childhood was steeped in so many supernatural shit going on in the Philippines back then.
Really? So I mean, I was born in 89, so I'm not really like, please tell me, what do you mean by this?
If you go to if you watched TV, that was the medium back then. That was the internet back then. Or that was social media back then. After work, you watch TV, diba? Or after school, you watch TV or the radio. Almost most of the content had something horror about it. Yung mga ini-interview nila sa mga talk shows noon or sa mga news were psychics.
Okay.
Were yung mga miracle workers, faith healers. Tapos it was really big time for horror. There was always a horror.
Was this the era of Madame Auring?
No, that's the 90s. Ito mga Judiel. Tapos there was that Julie Vega who died in while shooting.
What?
This yeah.
Oh no.
She played the Linda Blair type role for this movie, Lovingly Yours, Helen the movie. And she died on the shoot.
Oh gosh.
Because of a demonic possession daw.
What?
Yeah.
Check it out. Familiar
Julie
with this
Vega.
news bit. Julie Vega.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a podcast there somewhere about a podcast episode about Julie Vega, or a YouTube video essay about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Curious
I think that
Case
was
of
90
Julie
or
Vega.
Yep. I'm sure our listeners would want to go into that rabbit hole.
Ooh, required reading. I think I shall go into this rabbit hole after we wrap up. This is going to be fun bedtime reading.
And you had Inday Badiday.
Oh, I remember her.
Yeah, she had a show Eye to Eye. She interviewed mystics. She interviewed lots of supernatural stuff, supernatural specialists.
So it's like growing up and like in your very sort of early formative years, this was just sort of all around you almost.
Yes. And not just that. Yung parang I grew up in the Ateneo grade school and it was really a haunted school. So I loved it. Did
you ever used to go around the back to the seminary?
Yes, I know. I'm sort of like an expert on like all the supernatural stuff in Ateneo. In the Ateneo campus. So I was like that nerd in all of my classes from grade school to high school. I was sort of like the expert, quote unquote, on like ghost stories in Ateneo. So I was a nerd about all these ghost stories in the campus. So
fun. No, I mean, I asked if you'd been to the back, to the seminary in the back, because I sort of grew up there also. Like I used to go there a lot as a kid.
The Jesuit residence, you mean?
Yeah. My dad is an ex-seminarian, so we would go there a lot as kids.
Yes.
And so they would do their thing, and like me and my sisters would just kind of like play around in the grounds. Because diba, it's like after the seminary, it's a sort of UC Marikina.
Yes, there's a ravine going down, diba?
Right. So we used to play around there a lot. Like, and then we.
It's a scary place.
It is a scary place, and then it gets like where it's eerie enough when there's sunlight, but like as soon as the sun goes down, it's like it just gets infinitely more so.
I've been there at night. I actually jogged there at night one time.
Brave man.
What freaked me out were the sounds of the insects. Parang magugulat ka na you're in Quezon City. It's a city. Tapos
Parang probinsya.
You're there in this. Oh, biglang yung the frogs, the mating calls of the frogs, the I don't know what do you call those? The insects,
like crickets and stuff like that.
Crickets, yeah. Parang whoa, where am I?
It's like a different world, honestly.
And the buildings, parang
super old.
Yeah, 1950s right. Buildings. Even the tiles, you look at the tiles, you look at the cement, di ba? Parang, whoa, this has gone through so much. Parang.
Right. I mean, that said, I think this is the perfect segue into my next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is, do you believe in ghosts?
Interesting question, actually.
Okay.
Because after writing, it's my first book, Tales for a Rainy Season. I got into the math of writing a horror story. So parang, weird na the math of it. Like how do you scare someone with using a sentence or a paragraph, diba? Or how do you sequence your words to make it scary? Parang naisip ko na parang, there's a science behind creeping people out. So ako parang, after that, parang, if you're a horror writer or you're a horror filmmaker, parang you sort of realize na, there's a science to scaring people. And
so is it like as if you know how the sausage is made?
Yes, exactly. That's why parang, diba, parang I'd like to believe in ghosts, pero parang I got so accustomed to like reading ghost stories and reading horror scripts na parang from the first sentence, alam ko na okay. In 2 pages, parang it will be revealed that this person is a ghost. Parang ganun.
Right.
So parang, I know how, exactly, I now know how the sausage is made. Parang ang hirap. Because I observed on it din, parang horror fans, sila pa nga yung skeptics usually. Na parang, you can't, sila yung yung horror fans and horror writers, medyo mahirap silang takutin. And mas skeptic nga sila when someone says, oh, there's a ghost here, ganyan. Rather than nagfa-fanboy sila.
Right. But before you found out how the sausage was made, so to speak, did you used to believe in ghosts? And did that change?
I'd like to, mas malalim na yung understanding ko of ghosts. Parang, after thinking, kasi when you're writing a book, parang, you dedicate so much brain space, so much brain energy to thinking about these things. Parang,
no, I mean like before this. Before you wrote the book, definitely. Before you made the movies, how did you feel about
when I was a kid? Yeah,
super.
And I was the kind of person I want to see a ghost before I die. I really want to see a ghost in a more scientific manner. Na parang like a Ghostbuster would do siguro. Na parang
like a curiosity.
No, I'd like to make contact with a ghost. Kumbaga, if I see a ghost, I don't want to run away. Parang gustong kausapin. I want to look at what's it made of, di ba? Or
right.
Ano yung material niya? Is it made out of light? Di ba? Is it? Can I touch it? Parang ganon.
Gets.
The science part of it.
That's good for you. I do.
How about you? Do you believe in ghosts?
I do. I think more so I believe that there are things that we don't understand and we can't possibly think that we're the only like beings on this planet. I don't believe that we are the end all and be all of everything that's in existence. Ooh. So whether that's ghosts or elementals or even freaking aliens,
aliens, I really believe in aliens.
Do you?
Yes.
I think me also, but I don't know if that's because I've just read too much Bradbury.
Oh my God, I'm a very big Ray Bradbury fan. Actually, my book is like amateur Ray Bradbury.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to reading through it. Tonight, I've actually I bought it already.
It's like the illustrated man.
Ooh,
made by amateur writer.
Oh no, I'm sure.
I'm a big fan of his his anthology books. Na horror.
Ooh, I love the Martian, the red
Martian
book,
Chronicles.
The Martian Chronicles. That's my favorite.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Anyway, so going back, when was the first time that you had like a creepy experience or something creepy happened to you?
Oh, amazing. This was during the pandemic, actually.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So the numbers were down. So you could actually go out na.
Uh-huh.
So you'd go to the mall.
Sure.
You just get to wear a mask, diba? So
Yeah.
sabi ko, I want to explore a creepy place.
Okay.
Since, after being so cooped up in our apartment, diba?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go to the Manila Film Center one weekend.
Oh no.
So sabi ko, Then there was a security guard. I paid him $100. Sabi ko, can I go in? So I go in. Oh my God, it's beautiful. But
Okay.
you need maalikabok siya. So much dust. And
like musty and stuff.
Musty and the carpet is still there.
Uh-huh.
Tapos there's stray cats na.
Inside?
And, yeah. Oh, and bird droppings. Ganon.
Okay.
Pero it's there. The beautiful architecture is there.
Mm-hmm.
The brutalist architecture is still there. Tapos what's creepy was there's a Botong Francisco painting, mural, super laki.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautifully made by Botong Francisco, national artist Botong Francisco, of Imelda Marcos and Ferdinand Marcos, coming out of a bamboo shoot. They're both naked.
Oh, I know this photo. It's like the malakas at maganda interpretation.
Yes. And I saw it. Wow, parang
sorry.
There's cobwebs in it, pero parang holy shit, parang I'm back in the 80s, di ba? Parang ganun. Tapos, and they didn't. Maybe it's because it's still a Botong Francisco painting, di ba? So
yeah,
they didn't strip it off, di ba? Or
syempre, still a work of art.
Yeah. Yan, so parang, whoa, I love this. Tapos sabi ko, should I go in? So should I go up the stairs?
Okay.
And I said, okay, what the hell? Diba? Minsan lang to. And andito na rin ako. So I go up and I see the offices. Sabi ko, should I go in the office? Sabi ko, what the fuck? So, ang mangyayari lang naman ito, I'll probably get,
like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, slap on the wrist. It's worth it, diba? Parang ask for forgiveness later na lang. Diba?
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of did some trespassing into the office. And then I saw this woman.
Okay.
Dressed like she was in the 70s. She had the perm.
A perm, okay.
Yeah, so parang, At first sabi ko, okay, should I run? As in, sobrang normal. She was flipping through folders, ganon.
Oh, so she like sobrang nondescript as if it was just like whatever, like a normal.
In one of those offices na parang sarado na to, parang bakit may babae rito on a Saturday. And then sabi ko, oh, this is cool. So this is my first ghost sighting. Amazing. So parang naisip ko, half of me, sinasabi na parang run. Go down, run na. Baka I could get sick. Di ba sabi nila, if you get exposed to a ghost, you could get cursed or you get sick, di ba? Sabi ko, sige, let's risk it. Parang may morbid curiosity ako. Sabi, I was studying her. Parang, so parang ano lang, it's like a time travel thing lang pala na parang, like it's not like she's transparent, diba? Like in those Ghostbuster movies. Pero she's solid, yun. She seems like lost in time, parang like a wormhole siguro, diba? Because she doesn't know that she's she's alive pa or ganon. And then she looks at me. Sinabi niya sa akin, this is off limits. Why are you here? In a Chinese accent.
Pinagalitan ka pa?
Oo, pinagalitan ako. Tapos, oh my God, she's a real person pala.
Oh, so she was a real person.
Yeah, I thought she was a ghost. There was a Chinese tour company there na parang shady.
Oh, that's so random.
Yeah, pero creepy pa rin, di ba? Na parang, why would there be a...
Wait, so like legit may tour company nga dun and the lady was actually working.
And she was just dressed like it was the 70s. So it wasn't a ghost. It was a real person that I thought was a ghost.
I see.
But it was so out of place. I'm sure when you're there, you would also think that.
I'd probably book it.
Diba? Oh, really?
I'd be like, yeah, no, this is not, bye.
I have a morbid curiosity kasi when these things happen. Like, I remember Jazz. I remember Jazz going to work after one morning. in liquid post. Tapos he was shaking.
Why?
Tapos we asked him, why? On the way raw, there was an highway accident. There was a road accident.
I see.
Tapos, this is a bit morbid. The head, someone got decapitated. Tapos,
oh no.
Their head rolled towards his front wheel. Tapos sabi ko kay Jazz, anong ginawa mo? Tiningnan ko. sabi niya, so, ganun raw parang he kept opening the door and screaming. Tapos, pasok ulit siya sa car niya. Tapos, silip
this
ulit
is
siya.
on the road and parang nakastop sila?
Yep,
Oh, wow. Okay.
As in, mapapasigaw raw siya, pero at the same time, parang, okay, I gotta see it again. Tapos,
like, parang, this can't be real. I have to look again.
Tapos I have to look again. And then he screams again, closes the door, and then screams again until umandar na yung traffic. Tapos, I'm sure he was in a state of shock. Kahit paano after. Yun.
Creepy.
I'm sort of like that too. I'm a bit like that. So, like if there's a like a robbery or or a hostage crisis, ganun, I'd be one of those people na, I want to see some of this action.
So would you say that it's like a bit of a morbid curiosity type thing?
Yes. Like about 5 months ago, I think there was a Soko team here in our apartment, and I followed them up to the unit. I got to see their tools. I got to see their dog sniffing around the room. Stuff like that excites.
Room, right?
No, not my room. Some immigrant expats room.
Just going back to the film center. I actually have a story about that.
Okay, go.
When we were kids, and we would be driving home. We live kind of near that area.
Pasay,
but like it's like when Pasay crosses over into Parañaque, and that's kind of
okay. Yeah.
And so it's really nearby, and it's on the way home a lot. And when we were kids, like super super young, we had like this white pickup truck. Because pickups were really big then, or whatever. And what my dad would do is that he would drive up the ramp really fast, like yung ramp ng film center.
Yes, yeah.
He'd drive up and down, like, kind of speed through it. So, it's like, ooh, roller coaster. And we'd pretend like, fun. So at the time I was young, and then he did that. And I was sitting, this was the time that kids could still sit on the lap of their parents in the front seat. That's super bawal now, right? So I was sitting on my mom's lap, facing backwards. Parang kalong niya ako.
Yep.
And so we'd gone up the ramp of the film center. And then on the way down, since I was facing backwards, even if the car was pulling away, I was still facing towards the film center. And I go down, and I'm like probably two or three. And I go and say to my mom, and point at the film center. It's like a bunch of windows up top, right?
Yeah.
So I point down at it and go, Mama Mumu.
Oh, did you actually see any something?
I don't remember this. It's just like a story that my parents like to never let me forget. And
oh my God.
And then after that, my parents sort of looked at each other like, what the fuck? And my dad just like steps on the gas and just like books it. We're out of here. Bye. And
here.
And I don't remember this at all. It's just like something that, that your parents like to tell you, like, oh yeah, we went to the film center one time and you said, Mama Mumu.
Yikes. This was around the 90s na, after the...
Yeah, definitely. Like if I was 2 or 3, it was probably like 91, 92.
After the accident in 1987.
Definitely. Yep. And pero at the time, nobody was using it anymore.
Yeah.
So it had been empty for years, I'm sure.
Yeah. Actually, now I think it's being used for mga burlesque shows.
Yeah, like I think the last time I passed by pre-pandemic, I saw that it was like this. There was this like gaudy sign that said the amazing show.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what that is, right?
I was hoping that it was like a drag show, fun times thing.
Kasi I'm sure medyo low rent na yung place na yan, di ba?
I'm sure. Because nobody
and
wants
low
to go
rent,
there.
Yeah. Low rent properties attract like CD productions, di ba?
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so, I mean, for those of our listeners who are not familiar with what's up with the film center, it was specifically constructed by Imelda Marcos or commissioned by Imelda Marcos for an international film festival was it? Or a Manila film festival?
The Manila International Film Festival.
Right. The Manila International Film Festival.
What we have as MMFF now.
Right. It was specifically constructed for that. But the thing is, it was super, super rushed. Like, they were really rushing it. And unfortunately, one day, because they were rushing it and maybe things hadn't had the time to dry, like, it collapsed. Like I'm not sure if the whole thing or a certain part of it collapsed. Unfortunately, there were, workers inside. And workers were just buried alive in like cement, I think, and just rubble, basically. We won't get into the whole like defense of it all. They said this and whatever. But unfortunately, that's what happened. And many people died. And the sort of urban legend is that instead of taking the bodies out and excavating them, because they were in such a rush to get it done.
They covered the corpses in poured cement.
Right. They covered everything in poured cement and then just kept on going. Yes. So the urban legend is that they are still stuck there. Like bodies are literally in the foundation of the building. And that is why it is so, so haunted.
There are probably skeletons in the wall, bones in the wall.
Literally. in this case. Yeah. Which is honestly like really, really sad. And
actually, yun yung weird na parang suddenly became this ghost story, diba, or urban legend. Pero if you think about it, I don't think it should be. It's more like it should be a story of atrocity, diba? And
it's a fucking tragedy, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's kind of sad for me that it became a ghost story, like it's a haunted place. But no, it should be a monument or a testament to the atrocities that happened during the martial law years, diba? Parang it should be a museum na parang
truly, and just diba? For the sake of frivolity, come on, man.
And if the ghosts there na are construction workers who suffered a lot, diba? Parang I don't think you should be scared of them. I think you should actually diba, be sympathetic to them, diba?
Right.
Why would you demonize these ghosts, diba?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the sad story of that. Well, I mean, aside from that experience that you had actually relatively recently, and that's the one you said was your kind of earliest memory of something creepy, or did you have like an early memory of like
interesting
something that was otherworldly or creepy or ghostly or a bit supernatural? Like, what is the earliest thing you remember? Because you said that when you were at the new grade school, you were like super into it already.
Oh, I already told this story in the Dead Air podcast, but I guess it bears repeating.
It's okay. We're sister podcasts. We can share.
Yep. So, it's happened around 1991.
Okay.
Ateneo grade school.
Right.
So, it was in the morning and I was walking. I was playing in the basketball court. And then I saw this kid doubled over in front of a statue of the Virgin Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And all the students rushed to that site. Kasi, why is this kid doubled over? Yeah. So, me being ususero then, I went there and the kid was crying.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, the statue winked at him.
Oh no. Okay.
Tapos, ito uso kasi yung mga I wasn't familiar with the term yet back then, mass hysteria.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a real thing pala, especially when you're in a community, a closed community.
Okay.
Na parang if someone says he saw a statue wink at him,
okay,
the other people will be infected with that
sort of idea,
with that story, with that idea. And so parang for a whole 2 weeks, parang there were lots of students seeing different things. Statues, crying, ganon. Tapos,
what?
Yeah, there was this statue of like Saint Peter holding a fish.
Okay.
Tapos he dropped the fish daw.
Okay.
And me nga being the amateur ghostbuster, I checked out all the statues. And the fish fell. Pero inisip ko, baka naman tinanggal lang nung janitor. Diba? Pero yun, so yun, the parents association was contacted, psychiatrists were consulted.
Okay.
Tapos our Jesuit priests had these homilies na jokey na parang the Virgin Mary just wanted to play a practical joke on you, parang ganon, diba?
Right.
Pero yeah, mass hysteria among students, especially kids, parang it's no joke, diba? Parang
it's actually concerning instead of like fascinating.
Ako naman, it's fascinating na parang, wow, this is, parang for me, it's like an adventure. Parang, I love these 2 weeks na parang we're not focusing on our homework. Parang we're talking about statues moving. Parang I like that.
Did you ever get to the bottom of that kid who thought that the statue would wink at him?
Well, sinabi niya, he was having a shouting match with his classmate. Tapos he pointed the middle finger, his middle finger at his classmate. Pero yung classmate niya parang ran away. So it ended up, the middle finger was pointed at the Virgin Mary.
So he thought that it was like...
He threw a bird. He flipped the bird on the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary winked at him. Yeah, something like that.
That's actually kind of funny.
Oh my. Pero I mean, to a kid, diba? Parang.
Right.
That's kind of scary. Huh?
Wow. Okay. I wonder where that kid
Ateneo
is now.
grade school kasi has a lot of statues. Which,
But
that's why siguro I have an obsession also with statues. I whenever I travel, I see to it that I see the structures. Not the structures. The sculptures of a city.
I do have a statue story.
Okay, I love statue
It was also,
stories.
incidentally, when I was in grade school.
Which is where? In
Sainsco. So it's also a very old school, and we do have a lot of statues all over the place. I don't know.
This is Sainsco, Manila.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's where my wife is from also. This is in diba? Going to Manila, malapit na sa LRT to eh.
Yeah, it's right in front of CSB and LaSalle. My love to CJ. Hello. Yeah, and so we have a statue there in the field. So it's a big field, and then to the side of the field near the music department there is a statue of an angel. And it's like I mean, nothing. Okay, spoiler. Nothing super creepy happened, but it's like every day when it's sort of like twilight, when it's between like late afternoon and all, like padilim na. Like, of course there would be urban legends of kids like, oh, don't go there at night, the statue comes alive and like gets children that like wanders too near or whatever. And I mean, that's the extent of this statue story. It was just to see a statue.
What was the statue? Like,
it was an angel.
A saint?
It was an angel with wings.
Oh, an angel.
Well, to a tiny child, looked like it was about 6 feet tall with like wings. I actually don't remember if there were children statues beside it. The memory is not very clear.
The other statues that I'm fascinated with are, I grew up in the 80s nga, so there were a lot of a lot of mini golf courses. Yeah. And there was one in Katipunan called Sanville Mini Golf Course. At night in college, because my best friend in high school owned that place. His family owned that place. And I had a Tim Burton obsession back then. So whenever I shoot my my films, I shoot it in the mini golf course. It looks like sobrang creepy at night with all these fairy tale sculptures on the golf course. So, yun ang eerie talaga. I really love sculptures. Like, I love wax museums. I love mannequins. I love basta anything, anything sculpture, statue.
Cool.
I love it. Gargoyles. I'm a big fan of gargoyles.
Have you ever been to Spain? You're gonna have a great time.
No. I have never seen actually a real gargoyle, yung like gothic gargoyle. But I've been to Vienna and I've been to London. I've seen like, I think they're more like water spouts than gargoyles. Creepy pa rin, pero before yung sa bucket list ko, I wanna see a Batman Gotham City gargoyle.
Yeah.
Why have you seen one?
I think it was passing through Barcelona. So the Sagrada Familia and like stuff like just other types of Gothic architecture. Super cool.
Kaya nga, sana nga may gargoyle dito sa Philippines. Yeah, pero the closest one that we have to a gargoyle are the Three Angels in Quezon City. Sorry, Quezon Circle. More or less, those are gargoyles, I think.
Anyway, sorry, just transitioning into my next question. So, have you actually, aside from what turned out to be a Chinese lady running a shady tour operation in the film center, do you think that you've actually ever seen or experienced a ghost?
Interesting question. Well, I worked in ABS-CBN for
super old offices,
a couple of years. And pero more like what do you call that street? The Rotonda with the Boy Scouts. The Quezon City Rotonda and that road going to GMA. So whenever I pass by there in the wee hours of the morning, especially because I was in production, diba? TV production. So late nights, I went home mga 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. And usually at night, I'd be the one in charge of like bringing the tapes to the antenna so they could broadcast it. So once I give the tapes to the antenna people, I'd go to my car. Tapos I'd drive going home. I'd pass by those two structures, which were that Boy Scout Rotonda,
sort of memorial.
The memorial, and Ozone Disco.
Oh man!
And whenever I pass by that place, parang oh my god, I get mabigat. Yeah, that
so
corner.
Just for additional context, in this area, I think was it called Mother Ignacia Street?
I know it.
No, but anyway, so this area of that area in QC, they are there. You have a bunch of streets named after scouts.
Yes, Scout Ralios, Scout Tobias.
Yeah. And these are the names of Boy Scouts who had gone on
a jamboree.
We're supposed to go to this sort of worldwide Boy Scout jamboree, and unfortunately, they never made it there because the plane had actually crashed. And very sadly, all of them perished in it. And sort of those streets are named after them in their memory. And then the other thing, what was the other thing that you had mentioned?
Ozone Disco?
Ozone Disco. Actually, I had a guest who came on and told a story about Ozone Disco.
Wait, he or she was there when it happened?
No, he wasn't there, but he would pass by and it would just be like really terrible. And he used to teach in it. This is Adrian.
Yeah, Adrian Arcega.
Yes, Adrian Arcega. He used to, I think, teach in a school right across from it. And he had a couple of experiences that were really unpleasant, and he would like smell things and stuff. But he did also note that where it used to be is now like a Gouda or something. And it's like super, super like the way he would describe the place now is completely sterile. You can't feel anything in it anymore.
And ako mad props to the business owners who wanted to like put up a shop there.
Cojones, no?
Oo, parang wow. Galing nyo Ang tapang nyo.
But yeah, just like slight background, Ozone Disco is where another tragedy happened. I think it was, I forget exactly what year it was, but basically people were partying. It was
1996.
1996. People were partying. It was like a full house or something. And a fire broke out. unfortunately, the doors of either the main doors or the fire exit, instead of opening outwards, opened inwards. And since everybody was rushing to the door trying to get out, they were pushing against it, meaning that it couldn't open, and everybody got stuck in there.
Actually, I've been sort of, I fell into a rabbit hole of Ozone Disco documentaries and interviews.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually able to open the door one time.
Okay.
Like the people from the outside had gathered enough strength to like open it. But it closed. They had to close it again because of a thing called a backdraft.
What's that?
It's when oxygen suddenly goes inside a space that's where the flames are alive. Yeah. So all
it
these,
feeds the flame
exactly.
Even more.
So when they were able to open it, there was a blast of like a great big fireball.
Oh my God.
Because of the oxygen coming in. And so the door closed once again.
Oh my God.
Trapping the people there. Pero those pushing daw had burns then, had burns on their skin because of, that's what you call a backdraft. Yeah. I didn't know. I never heard of the term backdraft until then. Pero it's real pala. And in a science way, it's, parang a great burst of oxygen feeding the flames. Diba? Parang.
Right. It's so sad. And I do have another story that was sort of told to me. This is one of the first stories I actually recorded for Grimcast. Unfortunately, it didn't make the cut because we were still making adjustments to the format. But it's actually Mitch's story. Mitch of Ciudad.
Mitch's son, yeah.
Yeah. He told me the story about him and his sister. I think they lived nearby Ozone Disco. They were on their way home. It was late at night and, they were just sleepy driving home. And his sister was driving and he was in the passenger seat, I think. And then as they wwere passing by near the sort of general area, Mitch sees someone sort of walking and he looked like he was like burned or like it was dark. So he was like, I don't know if it was his older sister or younger sister, but let's say she's older. She goes like, Ate, what's that? Ate, ano yan?
Oh my God.
Ate, kita mo yan. And then his sister, who also can see things, she said, wag mo nang tingnan. Like, don't look at it anymore. Ignore it. Like, baka, like it might follow us pa. Like, just don't give it any attention. Let's just go. So they went home. And then they go home, go to bed. And, he's like asleep. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night to screams of bloody murder. Like crazy screams. And, everybody in the house wakes up and they're like, whoa, what's happening? What's happening? And it's his sister who I guess fell asleep on the couch or something. And she saw that person down.
Oh my God.
And followed them. And when she woke up, he was like there standing and looking at her.
So that quote unquote, that ghost followed them.
I guess that's what happened. And so, poor sister, and they just kind of tried to calm her down and like kind of get rid of it. I mean, I guess it's I've heard this term used by one of my other guests. It's called like transient spirits. Like they're not particularly stuck in one place, but they sort of like just float around and move around. And sort of, I suspect that that's kind of what happened in this situation.
It's just an unfinished business, ganun ba?
I don't know. I don't know if they investigated it further. But, it's just that they had passed by the area and the person looked like they had burns.
Oh,
and when she had woken up, the guy was just like burned from like head to toe.
Grabe.
Yeah, so it's mabigat, and also like incredibly like frightening.
So I checked Google Maps. The street is called Timog Avenue.
Oh, Timog. Right. It's just weird that now it's like full of restaurants and like, all these things.
When you go straight, I think you would go to EDSA. The GMA compound and EDSA.
Right.
Yeah. Pero scary stuff.
Scary stuff. And it's like, it's times like that where I'm super fascinated about people who have these experiences and hearing their stories. But it's also why I like hearing about these stories in the context of this podcast because it feels like a controlled environment.
Yeah. But have you ever passed by Ozone Disco?
You know what? I don't know. Because it's not something that I actively seek out.
Oh.
Like, I'm not the type of person that goes down the basement stairs to see what's up.
Oh, so we're the opposite.
We're the complete opposite. You're like, I want to see how
that's me.
how this ends up.
That's me.
I'm like the person that, hey, want to play with a Ouija board? I'm like, no,
that's me. That's me. Yeah. So I've been, aside from those places that I mentioned, I've been to the Diplomat Hotel in Baguio.
Ooh,
I've been to La Chaparral Mansion in the La Chaparral House in Baguio.
Do you mean La Peral?
La Peral, yeah, La Peral pala. Sorry.
It's like a white house that's super old, right?
I think it was a murder house or something.
Was it?
I forgot.
But okay, let's break that down. So you went to the Diplomat Hotel, which people say is super, super haunted. People go there on tours and like take pictures and find certain things in the pictures. Like, what was your experience like? Or why is it haunted again?
It got burned down. And there was so many tragedies. It got bombed down during the Japanese occupation, the Baguio earthquake in the 90s. I think it was 1990, Baguio earthquake. Brought it down. I think there were several fires also. But the structure still stands. It's beautiful, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But now they've turned it into like
an attraction.
It's an attraction. There's a garden, beautiful garden. They revived the fountain. Tapos there's sort of a museum sa lobby. And a lot of cosplayers are shooting
photos
in the rooftop. But it's beautiful. You go up. There's a church tower there, like a cross, beautiful cross.
Mm-hmm.
I think it used to be a seminary also, kasi for priests. So, and there's a view overlooking Baguio. You'd see all these pine trees, and it's a bit high. It's on a hill, so the breeze is amazing. Tapos nga, there are no windows anymore. There are like the window sills are, what do you call that? There's no glass, so you can feel the draft coming in. So parang surreal din. You get to see the rooms na dilapidated, diba? Some of the bathtubs are still there.
Cool. So when you went there, did you like experience anything particularly creepy or like?
I felt like energies, residual energies. Parang this place has so much history. Parang ganun.
Right. And then you said you also like went to the Leopard House. Can you actually still go inside?
No, pero I'm thankful that I was able to go when it was open.
Oh, okay. So what was it like? So why is the Leopard House so famous for being haunted?
Yun na nga, I forgot. I'll check it out again.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of just like people know it's haunted and like creepy looking. I don't exactly know why.
Ako rin pero it's actually, when I went there, it was beautiful. It was restored. The tiles from the 1940s, say, or 1930s were there. Beautiful staircase, pero may creepy vibes talaga. It's kasi parang you're in the
basically
Philippines,
like
tapos you're in the Philippines, and then you see, what architecture is this? Bakit parang American bigla, di ba?
Right. And then, but I mean, basically all of Baguio kind of just feels that way.
Baguio is amazing. If you're a horror fan, you should be a fan of Baguio, diba?
Absolutely.
Yeah, in my book, I have a lot of Baguio stuff there.
There's that whole story about, what was it? Teachers camp?
Yes.
There are like stories that we would hear from our teachers who actually used to go to teachers camp for like teachers retreats and stuff. And one of the more common stories is that they'd all be in their rooms and then in the middle of the night, someone would knock like super insistently, and then they'd open the door and nobody would be there.
Oh my God. Seminaries and novitiates. Like that. Oh my God. They rock.
What do you mean?
I've been to retreats kasi when I was in high school and college. I went to a writer's retreat. So that was at Sacred Heart Novitiate in Novaliches. Amazingly creepy place. If you're a horror fan, you should visit all these seminaries and novitiates around the Philippines.
It's like, this is where religious horror is from.
Yeah.
as boring.
And the architecture is beautiful.
And the architecture. Speaking of retreats, actually one of the retreats that I went to in high school, I do you remember Days?
Days with the Lord, yeah.
Yeah, I went through that. And our Days weekend was in Ateneo.
High school.
Yeah. No, it was in the Ateneo grounds. I forget which building or what the building's name was specifically, but right across it was Cervini, I think.
Oh, you're probably talking about Eliazo Hall.
Yes, maybe. And that's where we had it. And it was just like at night. During the daytime, you can sort of hear like students and the cafes alive. So, like it's sort of okay. But like at night, it's just like the most quiet place. And it's super eerie.
Actually, yung Ateneo campus has that like eerie presence.
Yeah, and it's just so different. Oh, I don't know, just so much trees.
1950s creepy vibes.
Yeah, and it's just so different from my campus, which was La Salle, which is like right beside Taft. The LRTs passing by, buses and jeeps everywhere. Like it's just so alive. Like versus Katipunan is really busy, but when you get into the campus of Ateneo and you get really far in, it's like you're almost going into another world.
It is, yeah. How about La Salle? Because when I was in Narda, my first band, we did a lot of La Salle shows. And before we did our sets, diba, usually maraming waiting time. So got to explore your campus then. And that got to see the McDonald's parking lot. McTaft, there you go, McTaft, yeah. And I got to see the old buildings, American buildings. Pero I haven't done a deep dive, pero I've been to that, what do you call that? Boracay parking lot.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and
it's called The Beach.
Yeah, and what was that place with the beer pong place?
I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I didn't spend a lot of time
in La Salle, yeah.
Playing beer pong.
But I
in
love
college.
campuses. I love exploring campuses.
Campuses are the greatest thing because it's like it really turns into another world when all the students are gone.
Ako baliktad naman. I like campuses at night when there are no people.
Right.
Like I've been fortunate enough that because of my job as a director, I get to shoot like in the strangest places, diba? In the wee hours of the night. So,
what is the creepiest place you've shot?
UST. I didn't shoot actually. I was part of the cast of a TV show before called Rakista, and we shot in UST posing as a fictional school called National University. So I was just like the B-list member of the cast. So I had a lot of waiting time then. So I got to explore the campus. And I think it's older than Ateneo and Merinol.
Oh, for sure.
Even Saints Co.
That is, I think it's the oldest Catholic university.
Is it? Yeah.
I'm not sure. Or maybe in the Philippines, it's like, I'm sure it's at least 300, 400, 500 years old, maybe.
I loved it. Even even the orientation of the bathrooms, parang, what the heck is this? Is this from the 1920s? Parang, yung washroom nila, yung parang, they don't have these, they don't have the urinals. There's just this one big, sort of like a foot bath. And there are no dividers. You actually pee on that foot bath.
Altogether.
Yeah, with no dividers. So when you're peeing, you gotta like angle a bit towards the left or the right.
Just to like
for some privacy. Some semblance of privacy. And the ceilings were high. Like really high for a washroom. Di ba wala nang ganong mga washrooms ngayon?
I personally have not experienced anything like that. So I'm going to agree.
It's creepy. And I've been to Silliman University in Dumaguete.
In Dumaguete. Ooh, yes. Very, very old.
Beautiful. And one of my favorites also is UP Los Baños. Yeah, I'm a big campus nerd.
I know. It seems like you're quite the Ghostbuster sort of explorer extraordinaire of all of these creepy places.
Yes, I can attest to that.
What is the creepiest place you've ever been in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, not abroad, no.
No.
Because
well, maybe both.
Okay, so abroad first. would probably... Ayan, because I also like dark tourism.
Love dark tourism.
Yeah, so when I go to places, tapos a cousin lives there or a friend lives there, I'm gonna tell them, I want to go to this place. And then they tell me, what? Why do you want to go to that? It's not the usual, I want to go to Disneyland, Universal Studios, diba? Or take me to this taco truck, diba? Hindi. Take me to this scary place, diba? Or give me a day, I'm gonna travel alone and I'm gonna spend my day there. So probably the creepiest place I've ever been to was Loch Ness in Scotland.
Ooh, Loch Ness in Scotland. Yep. Why?
Exactly why. No, why? Why of all places?
No, I mean, why was it the creepiest place?
It's one of, I think it's the 17th or something, the 12th deepest lake in the world. And we were in a boat. And me being me having a morbid curiosity, I stared down the waters and oh my God, it's the creepiest if you like monsters. It's possible
like
that there really is a dinosaur there because it's so deep.
It's just that deep.
You can't see anything.
It's like pitch black.
It's pitch black. I've never seen water so pitch black. A body of water so pitch black.
So it was more creepy because it was like you were staring into a void of nothing.
Yeah, and
almost
an outer space worth of water. You know?
Interesting.
So parang, oh no. Pero if you want non-monster stuff naman, ghost stuff, I went to the catacombs in Rome.
Which one?
In Rome.
Ooh, Palermo? Sorry, Rome.
Rome, yeah, Rome. Rome, Italy, in Via Veneto, in the road Via Veneto. So catacombs. So it's too bad you couldn't take photos.
Yes.
You couldn't take photos. It's a bit expensive. I paid around like 2,000 pesos.
Right.
And it was part of a church. Pero it was secluded, of course. Tapos yun. No pictures. Yeah. You'd give your cell phone to the security guard. Tapos yun, you'd see all these, I saw it, all these skeletons of like old priests that made up the walls and the columns. Bones talaga, bones. Parang, I think it's what you call an ossuary.
Yeah.
So yun, parang, oh shit, this is amazing. Creepy but amazing.
Yeah, I'd been, just on the topic of catacombs, I've been to the catacombs in Palermo in Sicily. And, you know, it's also like Roman Italian catacombs. And it's like, it's full of bones and you sort of like, at first it's really creepy because of the concept that these are like dead bodies, preserved and stylized and sort of fixed up and sort of just hanging on a wall, just chilling there. And then, it eventually turns into a sort of solemn, like, walk around that quiet tomb. It's a tomb.
It is,
right?
It is, yeah.
And you sort of get into the history of like, who are these people? And like, apparently most of the time when you're in those catacombs that are attached to that church, it's because you came from a position of power or like, you were from a good family. So not everybody gets to be there. So there's like this exclusivity thing.
Sorry, correction pala. Those were not priests. The one in Rome, Italy, the catacombs, they were Capuchin monks.
Right.
Capuchin monks. Actually, Capuchin meaning they were the ones who sort of brewed cappuccino.
Yes.
Yeah, Capuchin monks.
Cool, no?
Yeah. Pero the Philippines ba? You're asking me.
Well, just before we leave Europe, I do have a story for you.
Go.
We went on a family trip to Venice, and there's this place in Venice called the Doge's Palace. And then the Doge is basically like sort of like the mini pope assigned to Venice. And he had an entire palace to himself. And it was gorgeous. But me and my sister being the crammers that we are, we like slipped in like just like 30 minutes before closing. So we kind of like rushing through the rooms and stuff and sort of going around. And since it was closing na, it was medyo pa twilight na rin, so things were getting a bit dark. And so we were just going through the rooms and like absorbing as much as we can in the little time that we had. And given that it was almost closing, there was almost nobody there. So we kind of had the place to ourselves.
Wow.
And there's a part of the palace called the Bridge of Sighs. And in that area of Venice, it's the Doge's palace. So a lot of community events, so to speak, happen there, or like, speeches or like stuff. And included in those things are executions.
Oh, wow.
So there's this place in the palace. It's called the Bridge of Sighs. And when somebody is sentenced, so the jail is also in that palace. So whenever someone is sentenced to die, the person would walk from their cell across the Bridge of Sighs, which is visible from the outside. And that was sort of the last place where their family could see them, and they could see their family before they, go to be executed. And so that's why it's called the Bridge of Sighs, because it's like everybody's like incredibly sad, like walking by it. And it is the only way to exit the Doge's palace if you're going through it. And I'm very happy that I don't see things. And maybe like the extent of what happens to me is like I just feel weird, like really weird. But unfortunately, my sister, that sister that I was with, she sees things.
Oh no.
And ito naman, my sister, for some reason, we were like just in that last stretch of like the tour. I don't know why. She decides to go into one of the cells to like explore or some shit. And she leaves. And I'm walking lang. And then suddenly I feel her like sort of burrow into my back and just like push me forward. Like, let's go. But her face, I could feel it. It's in my back. Yeah. And I was like, what's wrong? And ako naman, I don't know what's happening. And she wouldn't tell me. She was just like, let's go, basta, let's go. And she's like pushing me like out to the exit, but also not looking. So I'm like, what is happening here? I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Calm down. Like, stop. You're annoying. And then what happened pala was when she came out of the cell that she was like exploring. And then as she walked by another cell, something reached out to her.
Oh my God.
So
which was?
She freaked out. It reached out to her, she felt it, and then she was just like, she freaked out and ran. Parang hindi niya na tiningnan.
Oh my God.
And the thing is, kami na lang yung nandun. Wala nang tao.
Uh-oh.
And then the cell was locked.
Oh my God.
So walang tao sa loob.
Was this night or day?
Twilight.
Okay. Like 5 o'clock, give or take 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Between 5 and 6 or something. Yung parang may konti pang araw, pero padilim na. Tas malamig pa.
Yeah.
So something reaches out to her and tries to like touch her or grab her. I'm not exactly sure. And so she freaks out. She runs into my back and like pushes me out. And I'm like, whoa. And then she only said something when we had gotten out. And then we were like, I'm really glad you didn't tell me while we were both in there.
Oh no. So did she tell you afterwards?
She told us when we were out of it completely.
So what was it?
Like we had cleared the exit gate.
Like a headless man or something?
No, she didn't see it. Like she felt it and she knew that there wasn't supposed to be anything there. So she just like ran for it. Like, let's just get out of here.
Scary.
Yun. So that was the Europe experience. But coming to the Philippines and back to the question, what is the creepiest place that you've ever visited in the country?
Good question. Because I was obsessed rin talaga with I had a phase in my life where I just drove around the provinces. Like I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and my doctor said na I should like travel around, create new memories to like ease my anxiety. So I did a lot of driving in the provinces. So I went to this place. It's called the Nagcarlan Underground Cemetery.
Ooh,
it's like where soldiers hid during the wars, the various wars in our history. And it's sort of a, what do you call this? It's sort of touristy, pero once you're there, it's beautiful, yet it's creepy at the same time. Because it's, you go down a flight of stairs, it's all stone. And sunlight does not creep through. So it probably could have passed as a bomb shelter. Pero you'd see it's also like a tomb. So probably all those dead soldiers there. Yeah, so it's in Nagcarlan. almost
to
like
super
4 hours.
eerie, I'm sure.
4 hours from Manila, like outside Laguna, like in the depths of Laguna.
Ooh, not that far. Actually.
Not that far, yeah.
I do, however, appreciate your ability to find sort of beauty and just be so fascinated by these places that most people would sort of steer clear of because it is creepy and eerie. But I do appreciate how you just sort of like bask in it and confront it.
I bask in it so I could use it as material for my fiction. I like being in that headspace where I'm scared. So I can write about it.
Right.
So I have ammunition.
Cool. And then, I mean, you directed San Lazaro.
Yes.
Could you give me like a tiny, tiny summary just for our listeners what that movie was about?
It's about the elevator pitch it's The Exorcist in a car, basically. That's it. So it's so simple. Like two estranged friends from high school bring a possessed man who's in the trunk of their car to an exorcist in the province. That's it. That's the whole movie. It's a road trip movie. Yeah, hijinks ensue. And there's a lot of flashbacks. There's a lot of side stories, sidebars. It's edited like the story is so simple, but it's edited in such a way that the editors and the actors and the assistant directors that I work with, I said, it's gonna have the structure of a website. Like we have these three, it's a bit pretentious, but I'd like to call it hyperlink cinema. Like we have a very basic plot, like two people driving a possessed man to the province to see the doctor, diba? That's it. It's that simple. Pero when we zoom in on the characters, it's like a website link. We click on that link and we see the backstory of those characters. And all those three main characters, Ramon Bautista, Nico Manalo, and me, have our own little Twilight Zone stories in our flashbacks. So you get to see our past lives when the camera zooms in on our faces. So So it's like I squeezed in all these mini movie ideas I had, like short film ideas. I crammed it all into 90 minutes. All the crazy ideas I have for films that never came to fruition. I crammed it all in 90 minutes. So
quite a feat.
Yep. So it's not just an exorcist. It's not just a possession movie. We have a side story where there's a dissociative disorder sufferer. And we have a detective story somewhere there. So it's a grab bag, starter pack ng all of the horror films that I wanted to direct, but I couldn't when I was young. So I threw it all in that stew.
But any particular reason why the main plot line or the simple plot line was a possession story?
Basically, it's because it's the cheapest one that we can do. Because if we have monsters or like zombies, that's a lot of makeup. So with a possessed man, you just need a really talented actor who has an ability who can do stuff with his body, like na medyo may athletic yung performance. And Nico Manalo can do that, diba? He can dance, he can do some stunts. So, and a little bit of makeup and diba? A little bit of makeup and visual effects on the face.
Right.
So, that's interesting. Sabi namin, we can shoot that. And I like the intimacy nga na parang two guys in a car, tapos there's a possessed man in the trunk. Parang, it's so simple, it's so sellable. Parang, andali niyang i-pitch. Andali niyang i-pitch, andali niyang ikwento na, I get the story. Yeah, so it's a road trip, parang billet. Tapos Ramon Bautista's a comedian pa. So it's like it's an Alexander Payne movie or Bill and Ted or Dumb and
Adventure
Dumber
type thing.
mixed with The Exorcist. Parang Or like a Seth Rogen
Fun.
movie na with an exorcist plot. So parang, hey, why not, di ba?
Right. And now you've actually written a book.
Yes.
The title is Tales for a Rainy Day, is that it?
Tales for a Rainy Season.
Tales for a Rainy Season, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So it just...
what's it about?
It's an anthology. It's an anthology collection. Horror anthology collection made up of 12 horror stories. So I'd like to pitch it as a Pinoy version of the Twilight Zone.
Interesting.
With the motif of the rain. So
with the motive of the rain.
Yeah, the motif, the theme of the rainy season. So all of my stories more or less has a scene or an ending or a setting where there's rain in it. So I wanted to make, I was thinking, because when you're writing a book of short stories, you need a trough line to connect all of them, right? Like a connective tissue. So I thought na parang, what hasn't been done yet in the Philippines? So I thought na parang, hey, the Philippines is pretty much, sure we'd like to complain, di ba, na the Philippines, it's a hot country. But I realized 6 months out of the 12 months in a year, it's always raining in the Philippines, di ba? And aside from statues nga and abandoned places, I'm also fascinated with the rain. I've always loved rainy weather. I love rainy cities. As in, if I go on a vacation and sinabi ng travel agent, oh, it's a rainy city, okay, I'm game.
Down.
Cheap. Yeah, exactly. So I just married the two concepts. I like rainy days and I like horror stories. So why don't I make a book of horror stories, ghost stories that's perfect for a rainy day?
Fun. And it was actually just dropped today. Well, today that we're recording the episode, but this is coming out like a week after. So at this point when it's airing, it's a week old, right? Where can people find your book?
Actually, this was published last year through the Amazon Kindle program. That was digital, and now it's in physical form. So it's
very exciting.
288 pages for 395 pesos, exclusive of shipping fees. You can get it in Shopee and soon in Lazada and soon in Secret Headquarters, Secret HQ in Makati, and Mount Cloud in Baguio.
Oh, wow. Mount Cloud, one of my favorite places in the world.
Really, really. Me too. I love the ladder. Their ladder.
I love the ladder. I love going in and just like being around the books and just discovering books that you would never have thought to maybe pick up.
Yes. And it's all Filipino. Most of them are Filipino collections.
I know. It's a treasure trove.
It is. And parang Baguio has a big literary scene, diba? So
yes.
So I'm excited.
Yeah,
for
and
that.
so every time I go to Baguio, it's almost a sin to not stop by.
Exactly. And I'm very excited because a lot of my stories are set not just in Manila but also in Baguio. Lots of references in Baguio. So to have my book where there are short stories set in Baguio be in Mount Cloud, wow, diba? I'm excited.
Well, thanks for joining us, Wincy. I'm so happy you could come on the show and we could just
thanks for having me.
Exchange a few stories. I hope you had fun.
I have more ammunition should I write a second book from your stories. Thank you so much, Tonette. Super saya.
Please feel free to go through all the past episodes because some people have a lot of crazy stories.
What's the craziest episode you have?
The craziest episode I had was when we saw a ghost during the episode when we were recording.
No way. Who was the guest?
So the guest is Richie Ramos. You may know him.
The music journalist.
And the music journalist. And Yeah, he sees dead people. And he used to be part of a group that, helps people who have trouble with dead things or with dead people or things that are not of this plane. And that group sort of helps them out, whether it's to help them deal or, whatever they can do. And so it was a crazy episode. It was 2 hours long because there was just so much to talk about. And then during the episode itself, something showed up that wasn't supposed to be there. And I mean, I've said this again and again in some episodes, but something showed up, and PV is usually on the Zoom calls because he's recording us. And something showed up, and it's sort of innocuous looking, almost like how you felt when you saw the permed Chinese lady in the film center. Like what I saw was just someone kind of entering the frame, and it was like just the back of the person and super nondescript, like white shirt, low pony. Like I thought it was a helper.
Oh no.
Sort of like, so Richie was talking to me on the phone, and then siguro alam niyo may call yung si Richie, so she just like kind of peeks in, gets something, and then leaves. And then ako naman, nagulat ako when I saw her, because I was like, oh, there's a person pala. And I was like, okay, sige. And then I ignore it, and then we go on. And then at the end of the recording, I asked Richie, hey Richie, is anybody else in your room? And he goes, my partner. And I was like, out of curiosity, what does your partner look like? He was like, matangkad na nakalbo na nakasando.
And it wasn't that. And it wasn't that.
It wasn't that. I saw a lady.
Oh no.
As in talagang like your nondescript helper looking type lady.
And they didn't have a helper in the house.
They did. But the thing is, the only entrance and exit to his room was on camera behind him.
Oh my God. Katapos.
And then in that direction, it was walang entrance or exit in that direction where the person came and left from or left to. And then funny enough, and PV goes, I saw something also. And it did the exact same thing. But it didn't look like it.
Oh my God.
What you're describing. So it was very interesting. And then Richie's explanation was that, it's probably the white lady that lives in the Kalachuchi tree in front of the house. She's sort of like the house's protector. So he wasn't very perturbed. So I was like, I wonder why she did this. So after the freak out, I go, I wonder why she did that. And then he goes, I'll ask her after. I'm like, all right, cool.
Bye.
A couple of days later.
Bye now.
I was like, cool, bye. And then a couple of days later, I asked him, so hey, did you ever ask the lovely lady what was up? Why she did that? And then apparently, she wanted lang to see if she could be seen through technology.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Pero parang
so apparently she was like,
naman, no?
Yeah, like that spirit.
Like a friendly ghost.
Sort of. Like he describes that entity as a sort of protector of the house.
That's cool.
Like super
that's
cool. Parang he described her as, parang she was curious what we were doing. And she wanted to see if she could be seen through like a video call or technology or ganyan. I was like, okay, so she was just, doing a tech test, I guess.
Yeah.
We're all affected by this pandemic one way or another.
She wanted some attention. Ganda.
So
Sige,
yeah, that's the story behind that.
I'll have that on my Spotify podcast list.
Yeah, that season is the most intense season because I only interviewed people who had third eyes.
Oh, wow. Sige.
So it's honestly the most intense season I've ever done. I'm never gonna do that again. Hindi ko sila ipagsasama-sama ulit.
This is your fifth season? Sixth season?
Yeah, this is my fifth season.
Dami na pala.
So the third eye season was the third season. I called it Third Eye Not Blind.
Hey, yeah.
So yeah, that was the season that I really put them all together and sobrang minarathon ko recording all of them. I'm never gonna do that again.
Oh no.
There it is. It was too much. I'm not gonna do that anymore. Anyway, thanks again for joining us, Wincy. Is there anything else you want to share with the good people of the internet? What are you up to these days? I know you have your book, but is there anything else you want to talk about?
I have my band, Narda.
Mm-hmm.
which Big Baby Studios also mastered. We have a new single. It's called Ang Buhay Tuwing Wala Ka. And we'll be having a music video soon that we in the music video, we partnered up with Brutalist Pilipinas. Speaking of Manila Film Center. So segue. So we partnered up with Brutalist Pilipinas. So we'll be featuring in the music video buildings from the 70s and the 80s. These beautiful buildings. One of which is the Manila Film Center, of course. And all these beautiful futuristic buildings. So we're going to use their archive collection. So that's going to come out in November. And we have a vinyl pressing coming out soon for our album, Discotillion.
Yay.
It's going to come out under Backspacer Records. And it's being mastered by Eli Buendia's Crow's Nest mastering facility as of this recording.
Fine.
So probably January 2022.
Gotcha. Yeah. I just have to say that Suerte is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And you wrote it, right?
No. Ryan Villena, our drummer.
Ryan.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Thank you so much.
I want it played at my wedding. That's how much I love it.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I think it's our top charting song on Spotify.
It
is. Yeah. It's ang strange about Suerte is it gets around like 2,000 hits. Speaking of scary stuff, na parang
why?
That song Suerte gets around 2,500 listens every week.
Ooh.
And we traced it in our analytics. It comes from Pasig and it's only one listener.
Okay, so that's not me.
Oh, yeah. So we were thinking, we talked.
How do you know it's only one person?
It says there, one listener played this 2,500 times in a week. And it's one location in Pasig. So we were thinking it's probably a store. Diba? It's a store or it's one of those computer shops where they play the music.
Like one playlist.
Yeah, one playlist on loop.
Again.
Like probably a what's this? A Pisonet shop or a Dota.
Wow, meron pa ba nun?
Yeah. Or yung World of Warcraft computer shops, di ba?
What a lovely, cheery song to hear while you're playing such violent game.
Yep. Pero yan. That's still the greatest mystery to us na parang who listens to this song 2,500 times a week in Pasig.
I mean, I thought I loved this song pero hindi pa pala. Someone is more intense
and it's
than
one
me.
listener. Pero thank you for the hits, whoever you are. Baka naman nakikinig siya rito tapos sinabi niya, ako yan.
Ako yan, it's me.
Yeah.
Whoever you are, message Wincy.
Yep. And message Island Records.
Ooh, yes. So where can they find your stuff, Wincy? Do you have a website, a Facebook page, or just, generally for your stuff? Where can they find more of Narda, your book?
Yeah, for my book, it's at Tales for Rainy Season on Instagram and Facebook. For Narda, it's at Narda Banda PH. Straight. NARDABANDAPH on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much again,
Thanks
Wincy.
so much.
I'm so glad you were able to come on.
Had so much fun.
Yay! This has been Grimcast Manila with your host, Antoinette. You can find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and everywhere you find your podcasts. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Grimcast Manila. Grimcast Manila is a podcast of creepy stories from around the metro and is produced, recorded, and distributed by Big Baby Studios. Find out more about our other shows on Big Baby at itsabigbaby.com or facebook.com/Big Baby Studios. Catch you on the next one.